Unit 7, Part 12, continuing on with 7a from the exercises. 7a, we're trying to derive not f, work backwards a little bit over here. But now we're doing the top-down reasoning. Always be careful to note, so I was saying, whenever you see a conjunction amongst your premises, or if a conjunction appears as you derive things, it should be second nature, should be automatic, that you simp. You use the rule of simplification and derive each of the conjuncts separately, right? More formulas on the page, more things to play with. Let me make the point Klenk makes. You don't lose any points for not having the shortest possible proof, right? You don't get penalized for deriving things which are not necessary for the proof, right? So even if you won't be appealing to these things, there's no penalty for having steps which don't further you towards your goal, right? I said in the previous section when I did page 134C, I was saying you are going to get tested on your ability to see how you go forward. What I was meaning is you'll be tested to not get confused or not get sidetracked by focusing on those premises which actually weren't getting you anywhere, right? So I think it was premises 4 and 5. There were those two premises which I didn't appeal to at all, right? But you could fail to get through the proof at all if you are focused on them and trying to get stuff out, right? But if you actually make valid derivations involving those things, you wouldn't be penalized for that, okay? You don't get penalized as long as every step is a legitimate, justified step, is a correct application of the rule, there's no penalty, right? No extra points for shortest possible proof or anything like that. All right, so so it should be a top-down automatic second nature habit, should just be a habit. Whenever you see a conjunction, perform simplification. Now you've also got to keep an eye, we've got our premises and we've made some derivations. Keep an eye on the form of the formulas, that come out that I've derived, right? And notice, for example, here in 6, oh, look at that. When I did this simplification, the form of the thing that resulted is a conjunction. So once again, I'll perform my habit and simplify those. So I've got 8 and 9, right? 2 steps, I've got A and C. 6 simp. 6 simp. Okay? Just by doing the top-down reasoning, and all that I could have and very likely would have done without doing any bottom-up reasoning. Let me just see what I can pump out. Let me see what applications of the rules I can see immediately given the form of the premises. Right? So another thing you might do just when you first have the proof laid out, right? You write the vertical line, you move the formulas, each formula separated by a comma to the premise, to its own line, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Cite its justification, which is premise. Leave a lot of space. I haven't said this, but you leave a lot of space when you write your answers and put the conclusion down the bottom, right? And then just take note of the form of the premises, right? Oh, this one's a conditional. Okay, I'm looking for modus ponens, modus tollens or something. This one, the major, it's complicated, but the major operator is a disjunction. I'm probably going to be thinking of modus tollens. Do I have or can I get the negation of one of these disjuncts such that I could perform a disjunction, right? So you're looking at the form of the premises, thinking of what rules are going to be applied to them. That's why Klenk teaches these rules, and by grouping them into the major operators. Right? She taught you the horseshoe rules, and then the wedge rules, the disjunction rules or whatever. She grouped them as per the major operator for basically the major premise. So modus ponens, modus tollens, those are horseshoe rules, and so on. Okay, so let's sort of put our top-down and bottom-up reasoning together. We knew that if we had C and D together, right, that's what we need to do the modus ponens to get the conclusion, which is not F, once again. Right? I noticed that C I've already got, so I'm halfway home, tick. I've got C. Okay, so my only task, I've got C, my only task now is to get D. How can I get D? Okay, so now you ask, right, where does, that's where we left off, the bottom-up reasoning, the working backwards. We didn't keep going with D. How do I get D? But let's do it here, noticing now that we have more formulas to attend to when we ask the question. Where does D appear, plus or minus a negation, amongst the premises, but now not only amongst the premises, where does D appear amongst all my formulas? All these formulas I have, every single formula here is now given, right? Contrasted with my figuring out what it is that I need when I'm working backwards. I figured out I need this, and that means I need these to go forward. But all these ones for which justifications have been given and that I've written down on my main line, I now have them, I'm given them. Okay, so where am I going to get D from by itself? Well, first of all, it appeared here, but when I simplified, it came to here, so I've got B hook D. Oh, that's promising. If I have B, I can get D by modus ponens. That is, my thought is, that's what I need. What I need appears as the consequent of a conditional. So all I need is the antecedent of that conditional, and I can modus ponens my way to D. And lo and behold, hurrah, I have the antecedent of the conditional, right? So see how I'm looking and seeking and finding what I need. So 10, right, I can get D by, what is it? It's 5, it's modus ponens 5 and 7. 5 and 7 modus ponens. 5, 7 modus ponens gets me D, and now I'm just putting into action on my working backwards thinking, right? I remember C and D, I wanted to put them together because of premise 1. So how was I putting that together? That's 9 and 10 by conjunction, right? I figured out I needed to conjunction to get that, and now I'm home, right? Notice what's happening here. As I said, it's just a practical point. I said leave a lot of space between your premises, and write your conclusion all the way down the bottom, because in that space you're going to put your justified steps, and when you start, you don't know how many you'll need. You don't know how much space you'll need, right? No need to cross this out and put it down here or anything like that. You can leave a gap. You do have to number every step. That's part of the proof. You lose points if you don't. But just, it's fine to put step 12. It is step 12, and it's 1, 11 modus ponens. Good. Okay, so you've seen some proofs. You now have a sense of what it is to be citing these different numbers, right? I'm using the rule of modus ponens, the conditions of the rule, that is, the steps of my proof which are the premises of the rule, or the substitution instances of the premise of the rule, are 1 and 11, right? Step 1 is the conditional. Step 11 is the antecedent of the conditional. That's the conditions for the rule of modus ponens. I've inferred modus ponens, the consequent of the conditional.